Welcome back, horror fans! Today, we're diving into a clash of titans, a battle of pure nightmare fuel that has haunted our screens and imaginations. Who would win in a fight? Vecna from Stranger Things or Pennywise from I... This isn't just about brute strength. It's a war of fear. A showdown between two masters of terror. So, grab your favorite Kate Bush song and maybe a red balloon, because we're about to break down the ultimate horror. Welcome back, horror fans. Today, we're diving into a clash of titans, a battle of pure nightmare fuel that has haunted our screens and imaginations. Who would win in a fight? Vecna from Stranger Things or Pennywise from I... This isn't just about brute strength. It's a war of fear, a showdown between two masters of terror. First, let's understand our contenders. On one side, we have Pennywise, the ancient cosmic entity that crash-landed on Earth millions of years ago. It slumbers for 27 years, only to awaken and feed on the fear of Derry's children. Pennywise isn't just a clown. It's a shapeshifter, a being that taps into your deepest, most primal childhood fears and literally becomes them. Remember Georgie's paper boat scene? Pennywise lured him in with a friendly facade before revealing its monstrous teeth. It transforms into a leper, a giant, or just a clown. It's a shapeshifter, a being that taps into your deepest, most primal childhood fears and literally becomes them. Remember Georgie's paper boat scene? Pennywise lured him in with a friendly facade before revealing its monstrous teeth. It transforms into whatever terrifies its victims the most. Its power is tangible, immediate, and brutally physical. T creates horrifying illusions, turning a simple photo album into a living nightmare or a bathroom sink into a geyser of blood. Pennywise thrives on that raw, panicked terror. On the other side of the ring, we have once known as Henry Creel, or One, a human. Vecna was banished to the Upside Down, where he became its terrifying general. Unlike Pennywise, who preys on general childhood fears, Vecna's method is far more personal and surgical. He doesn't just want to scare you. He wants to dismantle you from the inside out. Vecna is a master of psychological warfare. He targets individuals already burdened by trauma, guilt, and regret. He doesn't just show you a monster. He makes you relive your worst memories. Think about Max Mayfield. Vecna didn't just show her a scary clown. He forced her to confront the two, dismantle you from the inside out. Vecna is a master of psychological warfare, turning their pain into a weapon that slowly breaks their will to live. His approach is subtle, a creeping dread that builds into a full-blown psychological collapse. That guilt over her brother Billy's death just eats away at her. He really knows how to play with their minds. So, how would a fight between these two actually begin? It wouldn't start with fists, or claws, or teeth. It would start in the mind. Imagine this. Pennywise, sensing a new, powerful source of fear, tries to get a read on Vecna. It would try to probe his mind, looking for a childhood trauma to exploit. But what would it find? It would find Henry Creel, a boy who was never the victim. A boy who was the predator from the very beginning. Henry was the one who terrified his own family, who discovered his powers and reveled in them. This is where the tables turn dramatically. Pennywise's attempt to mentally assault Vecna would be like throwing a rock at a fortress. Instead of finding fear, Pennywise would find a consciousness more ancient and twisted than it might expect from a former human. Vecna, in turn, would sense Pennywise's own nature. He would feel its hunger, its reliance on the fear of others. And Vecna is an expert at exploiting weaknesses. He wouldn't see a shape-shifting god, he would see a predator with a very specific diet. The mental battle would be Vecna's opening move. He would push back, not with illusions, but with cold, calculated, psychological pressure. He could project his own twisted philosophy into Pennywise's mind, the idea of humanity as a plague, the brokenness of the world. He could try to tap into the very essence of what Pennywise is. Does this cosmic entity have its own form of trauma? Its own history of isolation or defeat? Vecna would search for that fracture. He'd try to make Pennywise question its own existence, its own purpose, humanity as a plague, the brokenness of the world. He could try to tap into the very essence of what Pennywise is. Does this cosmic entity have its own form of trauma, its own history of isolation or defeat? Vecna would search for that fracture. He'd try to make Pennywise question its own existence, its own purpose. While Pennywise feeds on the fear of its victims, Vecna consumes their entire being, their memories, their consciousness. He would see Pennywise's reliance on fear not as a strength, but as a pathetic dependency. This initial mind game phase would be a stalemate, but one that heavily favors Vecna. Pennywise's tactics are designed for weaker human minds. It's used to being the puppet master, pulling the strings of fear, one whose strings are made of trauma and psychological manipulation. Pennywise would likely get frustrated. Its illusions and jump scares wouldn't faze Vecna. What is a monstrous spider to a being who commands the entire Upside Down, a dimension teeming with demogorgons, demobats, and the Mind Flayer itself? Frustration would lead to desperation, and that's when the fight would turn physical. Pennywise, realizing its mind games are failing, would manifest in its most terrifying physical forms. We'd see the giant spider, the jagged-toothed clown, a chaotic whirlwind of every nightmare it has ever conjured. It would try to overwhelm Vecna with brute force and pure terror. This is where Pennywise has an advantage in Raw. Games are failing would manifest in its most terrifying physical forms. But Vecna is no stranger to physical combat. He possesses immense telekinetic power. We've seen him effortlessly lift people, snap their bones from a distance, and hold his own against 11, one of the most powerful telekinetics in his universe. As Pennywise lunges, Vecna would counter with psychic blasts, pinning it with invisible forces, deflecting its attacks. He could even turn the environment against Penny. In the Upside Down, Vecna is a god. He controls the vines, the particles in the air, the very fabric of the dimension. He could entangle Pennywise, drain its energy, or summon his army of creatures to swarm the cosmic clown. Picture it! Pennywise, in its giant spider form, charging at Vecna. Before it can strike, Vecna raises a hand. The ground erupts with writhing vines, wrapping around its legs, holding it fast. Demobots swarm from the sky, clawing and biting, a distraction while Vecna prepares his true assault. He wouldn't just be fighting the monster, he'd be fighting the concept. The deciding factor, in my opinion, is the nature of their power source. Pennywise needs fear to be strong. It's a drug. Without it, it weakens, as the Losers Club proved. They defeated it not by being stronger, but by overcoming their fear, by believing it was small and weak. And what does Vecna feel? Anger, contempt, a source, a cold, analytical desire to consume, but not fear. Vecna is psychologically fortified. He has embraced his own monstrosity. He wouldn't give Pennywise the one thing it needs to survive, let alone win. As the battle rages, Pennywise would grow weaker. Its attacks would become less potent. Its physical forms would start to flicker and lose cohesion. Vecna, on the other hand, would only grow more focused. He feeds on control and psychic energy, not just fear. He would see Pennywise not as a rival, but as prey, a powerful consciousness ripe for the taking. The end would be chilling, with Pennywise weakened and disoriented. Its fear-based power supply cut off. Vecna would make his final move. He wouldn't just tear it apart physically. That's too simple. He'd do what he does best. He would reach into its mind, not to find fear, but to consume its consciousness. With Pennywise weakened and disoriented, its fear-based power supply cut off, Vecna would make his final move. He wouldn't just tear it apart physically. That's too simple. He'd do what he does best. He would reach into its mind, not to find fear, but to consume its consciousness. We would see the iconic red balloons deflate, the clown makeup fade, to absorb its ancient knowledge and power into his own hive mind. it would be the ultimate violation. The terrifying entity that feeds on minds would itself be consumed. We would see the iconic red balloons deflate, the clown makeup fade, and the ancient evil of Derry would simply cease to be. Its essence absorbed by the Lord of the Upside Down. So, for me, the winner is clear. While Pennywise is a terrifying force of nature, its reliance on fear is its Achilles heel. Vecna, a being who has transcended fear and weaponized trauma itself, is uniquely equipped to exploit that weakness. It would be a brutal, mind-bending battle, but in the end, the new king of horror Vecna would stand victorious. But what do you guys think? Am I underestimating the cosmic power of Pennywise? Could it find a weakness in Vecna that I'm missing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your theories on how this epic fight would go down. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror showdowns. Thanks for watching.